Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Game Society, I call this the Tale of Shadowfall Mountain.
Alright everyone, this is Shadowfall Mountain Encounter 1. The object of the heroes is to escape through the exit way up there, and the goal of the Overlord is each turn there's going to be these fatigue counters that pile up on the tiles that represent the tiles burning, and they're trying to stall the heroes from getting to the exit. So let's go ahead with the Overlord's minions first. The Overlord's going to get Flesh Molders. They do a range attack with blue and yellow dice. They also have the ability to heal themselves and to heal other minions. Next up are the Barghest. They do a melee attack. They also use red and blue dice, and the Master one gets a yellow die. They can also howl, which lowers the stamina on nearby heroes. The Master one has the ability to block out, get an extra defensive die against range, and then they can always search to do more damage. Next up are the Cave Spiders. They get to use melee attacks with blue and yellow dice. They can poison the heroes as well as the Master one gets to web, so if they're next to the spider, they have to use fatigue to move to adjacent spaces. Moving along, we have the Zombies. They get to do a melee attack right there. They have blue and yellow dice. The Master one also gets a red dice. They have Shambling, so they can only move once per turn. They can also spread diseases, which makes the heroes test to make sure that they don't lose stamina, as well as the Master one can grab and immobilize heroes. Last up, they have Goblin Archers, which do a range attack. They do blue and yellow dice, but then the Master one also gets another yellow die. They have Scampers, so they can move past enemy heroes, and then they can surge for extra range and extra damage. And then the smaller ones have to be within 3 spaces of a Master minion or a Lieutenant, or else they can't surge. For the heroes, first up, we have Tatiana. For skills, she has Nimble, Danger Sense, First Strike, and Accurate. And for gear, she has Heavy Cloak and Elm Greatbow. Next up, we have Grisban the Thirsty. For skills, we have Rage, Brute, Charge, and Weapon Master. And then for gear, we have Lucky Charm, Chainmail, and the newfound Grinding Axe. Next up is Shalara the Mage. She has Iron Will, Quick Casting, Runic Knowledge, and Exploding Rune for her skills. And then for gear, she also has Bright Blaze. And then for her gear, she has Scorpion Helm, Leather Armor, Mana Weave, and Sunburst. And last up for the heroes, we have a Sharon. For skills, she has Drain Spirit, Cloud of Mist, Healing Rain, Stone Skin. And for gear, she has Leather Armor, Iron Shield, and Iron Spear. Now onto the travel events. We always start at Catheri Ruins. We have to go all the way over here to the Shadowfall Mountain. So we have to pass by 1, 2, 3, 4 events. So let's go ahead and do the first road event. We end up getting right here, no event. So we move on to the next one, which is going to be this water event. All right, let's see what we get for the water events right here. A potential miasma seems to rise from the water. The hero with the lowest strength, Overlord, gets to choose in case of a tie is diseased. The Overlord's going to give it to a Sheeran. All right, let's go ahead and place that right there. All right, next up is going to be another road event. So let's see what we get. We get this right here. You find a hidden path and make excellent time. Do not draw a travel event card for the next travel icon you stop at this phase. So that is going to be the last one. So the travel event phase is over. First up is Shalara, but before she goes, she's going to move Bright Blaze 4 spots, 1, 2, 3 right there. And then she's going to use 1 Fatigue for Exploding Rune on this zombie right here. So it's going to hit those 3 and have Pierce. She gets a yellow die and a blue die. All right, there's the 1 Fatigue for Exploding Rune. The zombie gets a brown die. She's trying to do 5 damage, has to go into the castle. All right, we end up getting 2 damage and 2 surges. So let's see what we can do right here. We're going to use Mana Weave to get another surge. So it's 3 surges. Try and get to 5. First surge is plus 2 damage. So we're at 4. And then we're going to use Runic Knowledge to suffer fatigue to do 2 more damage. So that's going to be 6 total with the Pierce 1, even though it doesn't matter. So this zombie gets taken out right here. Has to place the fatigue for Runic Knowledge. And we're going to roll the defensive die for the next zombie. All right, let's see what the next zombie above that one gets. No defense. So that one is also taken out. Let's go ahead and remove that from the field right there. And then we're going to roll for this last zombie. All right, let's see what it gets. No defense, so that one's also taken out. All right, so let's go ahead and remove that one right there. And then her second action, she's going to move 1, 2, 3. They have to get off of these tiles because they start burning at the beginning of every Overlord turn. Next up is Grisban. He's going to use his first action to move 3. 1, 2, 3. He's then going to attack this Master Zombie. Remember, he gets Pierce 1 from Bright Blaze. He gets 2 red dice and a blue die, and the zombie gets a brown die. All right, let's see what we get. This is the first time he's using the grinding axe. It's a lot of damage. So 3, 4, 5, 6 damage. And he has Pierce 1, so we don't have to worry about that. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6. He's going to use this for another surge. So he's going to add +5, so that's 11 damage, which is enough to take out the Master Zombie. So let's go ahead and remove the zombie from the map, and that's the end of Grisman's turn. All right, next up is Tatiana. She's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right here. And then she's going to use her second action with the Elm Greatbow to attack the zombie right there with the yellow die and a blue die. It gets a brown defensive die. All right, let's see what they get. All right, she's trying to do 5 damage. She gets enough range. She just needed to get, I think, 1 more because of her hero ability. So 4 damage plus a surge of +2 damage. So 6 minus the 0, the zombie gets taken out. Let's go ahead and remove the zombie right there. That is the end of Tatiana's turn. Next up is a Sharon. She has to test for disease. She is testing for willpower. She has to roll 3 or less. She succeeds, so we get rid of disease, and she gets to move on to her turn. She's going to move 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She doesn't want to open up the door yet because it allows the Overlord to place cave spiders, and then the Overlord gets 3 free actions on 3 different cave spiders, so which they would get free shots on a Sharon or Tatiana, and then the Overlord would get to go again. So the heroes are going to end their turn right there. At the beginning of the Overlord turn, we place a fatigue token on this tile to represent it burning. They also have to draw a card, which is going to be Dark Fortune for rerolls. All right, that's the end of the Overlord turn. At the beginning of the hero turn, a Sharon's going to go first. She's going to open up this door, which is going to cause 2 things to happen. So the first thing is the Overlord's going to trigger Poison Dart. So she has to test. The Overlord's going to choose Might. So let's go ahead and roll that. She has to get 2 or less. She fails, so she takes a damage. She's going to get a fatigue, as well as she is poisoned. She'll have to test Might at the beginning of her turn. All right, and then the second thing happens is the cave spider spawn. All right, so the Overlord gets to spawn all the cave spiders, and then 3 of them get to take 1 action. So it's going to put the Master one right here, a regular minion right there, and a regular one right here as well. And then the last 2 are going to be right here in this corner. All right, and then the first action is this Master one's going to attack Tatiana. It gets, let's go ahead and see, it gets a blue die and 2 yellow dice. And then Tatiana gets a gray die. And then Sharon's going to spend Stone Skin, so she gets another gray die. Let's go ahead and exhaust Stone Skin right there and give her the fatigue. All right, let's roll all the dice right here. Tatiana also has the cloak. It has to go in the bin right there. All right, so the spider got, let's see, 1, 2, 3 damage and 2 surges against 2 defense. The heavy cloak is going to be used to cancel out 1 surge. So 3 damage and 1 surge. They're probably going to add, they can do either poison or +2 damage. Let's go ahead and add +2 damage. So 5 against a 2, so 3 damage goes through. Go ahead and put the 3 damage right there. All right, next up for the free action, this regular minion spider is going to attack a Sharon. It gets 2 yellow and a blue die. A Sharon gets a gray die and a brown die. Let's go ahead and roll them. See what we get. A Sharon also has an iron shield. She could re-roll this if she wants. She's just going to exhaust it instead to add another defense. So then the regular spider, let's go. Oh, she also got this one right here. So she got 3 defense. The spider did get a lot of damage right here. We have 6 damage and 2 surges. So the first surge is +2 damage, and the next surge is poison. So 8 damage minus 3 is 5 damage, and poison's going through. She's already poisoned, so she just takes the 5 damage right there. Let's move on to the last cave spider. This one right here is going to attack a Sharon as well. So same thing, 2 yellow dice and a blue die against a gray and a brown. All right, let's see what we get. Right there, a lot more damage is going through. Let's see. We have 3 damage and 2 surges. The poison isn't going to matter as much. So adding 2 damage would make it 5 against 1. So 4 damage would go through, which would almost knock her out. But then instead of doing the +2 damage, the Overlord's going to use Critical Blow for the surge. So that's +3 damage. So that's going to be 6 against the 1. So that's 5 damage, which takes out a Sharon. We remove her from the map and place her hero token on it right there. The Overlord gets a threat token for taking out the hero. and a reminder that they can only take out the hero one time for threat tokens. We go ahead and fill up her stamina and her health right there, and then poison does get to go away. All right, that's the end of the ambush from the cave spiders. All right, Sharon's second action is to stand up. She gets to roll 2 red dice. Let's see how much she recovers. She recovers only 3 health, so let's go ahead and do that. She goes back on the board right here. Then she recovers her 3 health, so the 5 exchanges for 2. All right, that's the end of Sharon's turn. All right, next up is Grisban the Thirsty. He's going to spend 1 fatigue to get a free movement. Let's go ahead and move him right here, and then his first action is to attack this master minion cave spider. He's going to use the grinding axe, which gets 2 red dice and a blue die against a gray die. He's trying to do 7 damage, so let's see what they all get. He ends up getting 3, 4, 5 damage right there against 3 defensive. So only 2 damage is going through, so we're going to go ahead and do that. All right, let's go ahead and place the 2 damage right there. So that's his first action. His second action is to use his heroic feat to get another attack on the master minion spider with his grinding axe. Let's go ahead and flip his card to show that he activated his heroic feat right there. All right, same thing, 2 red and blue. Oh, that one has to go into the castle. Let's see, we're trying to do 5 damage left. So we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in a surge. 7 against the 2 is 5 damage. So he's going to take out the spider, and then the unspent surge, he's going to remove a fatigue from himself. So let's go ahead and take out this spider right here. And let's go ahead and remove the fatigue token as well. Grisban's going to use a fatigue to get a free movement again right there. He's going to take his movement to go right over here, and with his actual second attack with the grinding axe right there, with the 2 red dice and a blue die against a gray die. He's trying to do 5 damage. He ends up doing 1, 2, 3, 4. And then there's 1 defense right here. So he's going to use the weapon mastery to get 1 more surge to do plus 1 damage. So 5 on the 1. It does 4 damage to the spider, which is not enough to take it out. Let's go ahead and place the 4 damage right there. And that's the end of Grisban's turn. All right, next up is Shalara, but before she goes, she's going to move Bright Blaze 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 right there to get those spots Pierce 1. She's then going to move 3. Let's see if she can get 1, 2, 3. So Grisban's in the way, so she's going to go 1, 2, 3 right here. Spend a fatigue to do Exploding Rune on this spider right here. So she does need to get 1, 2, 3, 4 range. 3 because of her helmet. So let's go ahead and get all of that counted up. Place the fatigue for Exploding Rune. We're going to roll for this one first. So it's yellow and a blue against the gray. So let's add everything up. There is Pierce 1. So we have 3 damage and a surge. She's trying to do 5 damage against, I guess, 1 shield because of the Pierce. 2 more will be 5 damage against the 1, which will be 4. She's going to spend Mana Weave to get another surge to suffer fatigue to add 2 more damage. So that's going to be 2, 4, 6, 7 damage with Pierce 1. So that takes out the first spider. Let's go ahead and first place the fatigue for the Runic Knowledge. This spider gets taken out, and then we are going to roll on that spider's defense next. It's 7 damage and Pierce 1, and it has 5 health. It has to go into the castle. All right, so 7 damage against minus the 1, so 6 damage is going to go through. So this one also gets taken out. So that's the end of Shalara's turn. All right, last up is Tatiana. She's going to spend a fatigue to get 1 free movement. So let's go ahead and move her right here. She's going to use her first action to attack with the Elm Great Bow right here on this spider with 1 health left. She gets a yellow die and a blue die against a gray die. She's just trying to do 1 damage. So let's see what they all get. She ends up getting 3 damage and a surge, and the spider gets 2 defense. She's going to spend the surge for 2 more damage. So 5 on the 3, 2 damage is enough to take out the spider. Let's go ahead and remove this spider right here. And then her second action is going to be to attack this spider. Same deal with the Elm Great Bow, yellow-blue against the gray. All right, let's see what she gets. All right, she ends up doing 4 damage against the 1, which is not going to be good enough. She could re-roll this to try to get another damage and a surge, but it's unlikely that that's going to happen, or it still wouldn't even be enough to take out the spider. So 4 minus the 1, it takes 3 damage. She rethought about it. There is a chance that she can get the double hearts and surge, which means she takes out the spider. So she's going to use accurate to re-roll. This could end up being worse. It's not. She's going to use the surge to do plus 2 damage. So 4 against the 1, so it's the same thing. 3 damage goes through. Let's go ahead and place the 3 damage right there. That is the end of the hero's turn. At the beginning of the Overlord turn, we draw a card right here. We end up getting Dark Might, which allows us to add a Surge. This tile starts to burn, so anyone on here, so a Sharon's going to take 2 damage and suffer fatigue. So she's going to take the 2 damage right there. And then it's unfortunate because she doesn't have enough stamina to fill up any more fatigue, so she takes 1 more damage, which is enough to take her out. We remove her from the map right here and place a hero token, and then the Overlord gets to draw a card. The Overlord gets Pit Trap, which is going to be really good against Shalara or Grisban. Alright, at the beginning of the turn, this Cave Spider is going to activate, but Tatiana is going to spend 2 fatigue to do first strike to get an attack on the spider first. Let's go ahead and place the 2 fatigue right there. She gets a yellow die and a blue die against a gray defensive dice. She ends up getting a miss. She can't do anything about that, so the Cave Spider is going to continue their activation. Alright, the Cave Spider is going to use its first action to attack Tatiana. It gets 2 yellow dice and a blue die against her gray die and the heavy cloak. Let's see what she ends up getting. Oh, right there, the Overlord misses. They could use a reroll, but they don't know if it's going to be worth it because right now it's doing 2 damage plus a surge. So 4 damage against the 3, but even without the surge, it's pretty rough. So the Overlord's just going to let that one pass. And then for its second action, it's going to move 4. 1, 2, 3. Just go right there. And that's the end of the Overlord's turn. Grisban's going to go first. He's going to spend 2 fatigue on charge. So he gets to move up to 3 and then do an attack with his grinding axe. He's going to go 1, 2, and 3. And then at the third movement, the Overlord's going to use Pit Trap. So he's going to have to test awareness and see what happens. He needs to get a 1 or less for his awareness test. He fails. He's going to use his lucky charm right here to roll that again. He really needs to get 1 or less. He succeeds, so he can move on to his attack. 2 red dice and a blue die against a gray die. Try and do 2 more damage. He ends up getting a miss, and he has no way to reroll that. So let's move on to his next action. His second action is to open up this door right here. I kind of spawned the spiders incorrectly last time. It's not when the door opens, it's when they enter a space for the first time. But that is what's going to happen. Grisban's going to spend a fatigue to move 1 right here. And then the flesh molders are going to spawn, and 3 of them get to take an attack or an action. Go ahead and place his fatigue for his movement right there. We're going to place 1 flesh molder right here, the master minion right there, and then these 2 right up over here. Let's go ahead and do their 3 free actions. So this one's going to attack Grisban right here. It gets a yellow die and a blue die against his double gray. All right, let's see what happens. We got 3 damage against 3 defense, so nothing happens. So we're going to move on to the next flesh molder. This master one's going to attack Grisban. It does need 1, 2, 3 range. Let's go ahead and roll the dice. This flesh molder gets an extra yellow die. All right, so we have a miss. The Overlord could use a reroll. Yeah, let's go ahead and use that real quick. So we're going to spend Dark Fortune to reroll the blue attack die right there. So let's see if we get anything better. We do. All right, so let's add these all up. 4 damage and a surge against 2 defense. It looks like the only surge that we can do right here that matters, Mend 3 would heal itself for 3. It doesn't need healing. So we'll add 3 damage. So that's 7 against the 2. So 5 damage goes through to Grisban. Let's go ahead and place the 5 right there and move to the last free action for the flesh molders. This one's going to attack. It needs 1, 2, 3 range. So it does need range. It gets a yellow die and a blue die against 2 gray. All right, let's see what we get. That has to go into there. All right, so I don't think it's going to do anything at all. So we have 2 damage plus a surge, so 4 damage, but against 4 defensive dice. So the heroes get to continue their turn. All right, Tatiana is going to go next. She's going to do a ranged attack with the Elm Grapo on this flesh molder. She gets a yellow die and a blue die. It gets a gray die and a brown die. She needs 1, 2, 3, 4 range, 3 because of her hero ability. All right, let's see what she gets. She ends up doing, she's trying to do 5 damage total. She has 1, 2, 3, and then surge for 4 or 5 against the 1. It's not enough to take out the flesh molder, but she's going to use her heroic feat to ignore this die right here. So let's go ahead and flip her tile card right here to show that she did her feat. All right, place these back on. The 5 damage is enough to take out this flesh molder. She moves on to her next action. All right, for her next action, she's going to revive a Sharon. She gets to roll 2 red dice. Let's see how much she heals. She heals up 3 health. Let's go ahead and heal up the 3, so the 5 down to the 2, and put her back on the map. All right, swap out the hero token for a Sharon. That's the end of Tatiana's turn. All right, next up is Shalara, but before she goes, Bright Blaze is going to move 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then she's going to move 1, 2, 3 right here. Spend a fatigue to do Exploding Rune on this spot right here, so it's going to hit both of them. She gets to roll a yellow die and a blue die against a gray die and a brown die. Let's go ahead and place the fatigue for Exploding Rune. All right, let's see what she gets. She's trying to do 5 damage total. This is not looking too good. So it's 3 damage against 3 right there. She can use her Mana Weave to get another Surge, which she will use. And then she could do, yeah, I guess she could do an extra damage or stun. She can't do stun because you have to do at least 1 damage to stun. So she will Surge for 2 more damage. So 5 against the first one has 3 defense. So the first one takes 2 damage. Let's go ahead and place the 2 damage right here and roll the defensive die for this one. All right, remember it's 5 damage against, I guess that's 1 right there. So 4 damage goes through in the second one. Let's go ahead and place that right there. That's the end of Shalara's turn. Actually, she's going to spend 1 more fatigue to move 1 space right here. Let's go ahead and fill her up on stamina. She has an extra because of Iron Will. All right, last up is a Sharon. She's going to use her first action move 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She's then going to attack this cave spider with reach with her iron spear. She gets a yellow die and a blue die against a gray die. She's trying to do 2 more damage. She ends up doing 4 damage against the 1. So 3 damage goes through, which takes out the cave spider. All right, let's go ahead and remove the spider right there. That is the end of the hero's turn. At the beginning of the Overlord turn, we draw a card, which is dash for another movement. This next tile starts burning right here. So Tatiana takes 2 damage and loses a fatigue. So let's go ahead and place the fatigue right there and then exchange the 3 for a 5. And then the Overlord gets to continue with its turn. All right, this Flesh Molder is going to go first. It's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to attack a Sharon with the yellow die and a blue die. She gets a gray die, a brown die, and has Iron Shield. All right, let's see what she rolls. We have 2 damage and a Surge right here. This is a normal one. So the Surge is going to be 4. We could either mend or do 2 more damage. I think you have to do damage to do a mend. I'll check in a second. But I think she's going to end up... a Sharon's going to use the Iron Shield for 2 defense. So that's going to be 4 damage against 2. She takes 2 damage. All right, let's exchange those 3 for a 5. And then move on to the next Flesh Molder. This next one's going to move 1, 2 right here and attack a Sharon with a yellow die and a blue die against a gray and a brown. No more shield because it's exhausted. Okay, it's just trying to do 1 damage. It ends up getting a miss, and I have to check, but I don't think there's any way it can reroll. Last up is this Flesh Molder. It's going to go 1, 2 right here, interrupt its movement to attack a Sharon. This one gets 2 yellow dice and a blue die against her gray and a brown. It's trying to do 1 damage. All right, let's go ahead and roll all of that. Let's see, it's definitely going to get the range. I think it just had to get 2. So it's going to be 3 damage and a Surge against 2 defense. The Surge is going to add another 3. So that is going to be 6 against the 2. So 4 damage goes through. A Sharon gets taken out once again. We remove a Sharon's token from the map right here. Overlord gets to draw another card, which is Word of Misery, which is really good. And let's go ahead and fill her health up and then continue the Flesh Molder's movement. It's going to use its last movement to go 1, 2 right here to make it really hard for the heroes to get past. That's the end of the Overlord's turn. First up is Shalara, but she's going to move Bright Blaze first. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to go right in that spot. Sorry, there's a lot of stuff covering everything. She's going to take an attack right here with Sunburst. She gets a yellow die and a blue die against a gray and a brown. She's just trying to do 1 damage, and she has Pierce 1. Let's go ahead and roll all of that. So it's 3 damage against the, no defense because of the Pierce. So that's going to take out the Flesh Molder. She's going to use Mana Weave to get another Surge, to then use the Unspent Surge to use Iron Will right over here to recover 2 fatigue. So let's go ahead and do all of that. So this Flesh Molder right here gets taken out. Let's remove that all from the field. She then recovers 2 fatigue. She's then going to spend 2 fatigue on quick casting and exhaust this to do another rune attack. She's going to target this Flesh Molder. It has 3 health left. She gets Pierce 1 from Bright Blaze, a yellow die, and a blue die against a gray and a brown. See what she ends up getting. She ends up missing, which is pretty rough. She's going to use her last action to move 3. 1, 2, 3 right there. That's the end of Shalara's turn. Next up is Grisban. He's going to do a move action. 1, 2, interrupt his movement to attack this Flesh Molder. He gets Pierce 1 because of Bright Blaze. He's using his Grinding Axe, so he gets 2 red dice and a blue die against a gray die and a brown die. Alright, he's trying to do 3 damage. It's a lot of damage right here. Remember, he has Pierce 1, so he's doing 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 with the Pierce 1 against 2. So 5 damage is going through, which is enough to take out the Flesh Molder, and he's going to use the Unspent Surge to remove a Fatigue. Let's go ahead and take out the Flesh Molder right there. He's going to remove a Fatigue, but then spend a Fatigue during the rest of his movement to get 1 more movement, so he has 2 left. The 2 movement left allows him to go into this last water space. That's the end of Grisben's turn. Next up is Tatiana. She's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, and then stop right there and revive a Sharon. It's going to be 2 red dice. Let's see what she gets. She gets to recover 4 health. Let's go ahead and exchange the 5 down to a 1 and place her back on the map. She's going to go right over here. And that's the end of Tatiana's turn. Alright, Sharon's going to go last. She's going to do move action 1, 2, 3, 4, and then her second action is to rest. So she gets to remove all these fatigue counters. She's just been playing catch up this whole game since of the cave spiders in the beginning. Alright, at the beginning of the Overlord turn, they draw a card, which is Frenzy for an additional attack. We're going to go ahead and place a fatigue on this tile, so it's now burning. So all the heroes will take 2 damage and 1 fatigue. Tatiana takes 3 damage because she's full on the fatigue. Grisben also takes 3 damage right there because he's full on fatigue. Same thing for Shalara. She takes 3. Then Sharon takes 2 damage and then 1 fatigue right there. Alright, the Overlord's going to activate the Flesh Molder first. It's going to do an attack on a Sharon. It gets 2 yellow dice and a blue die. She gets a gray die and a brown die, and then she also has an iron shield. Alright, it's trying to do 1 damage total, or 2 damage actually. Alright, that has to go into the bucket of the castle. Alright, she has 4 defense, plus 1 more for 5. So the Flesh Molder gets, let's see, 3 damage and a surge. The extra surge will allow it to do 6 damage against the 5, so she only takes 1 damage, which is not enough to take her out. Let's go ahead and place this right over here. The 4 up to a 5. And then the Flesh Molder is going to continue its turn. The Overlord's going to have the Flesh Molder do Frenzy, so it's going to attack a Sharon again with 2 yellow dice and a blue dice. This time a Sharon's going to use Stone Skin to get an extra gray defensive die. Let's go ahead and exhaust this right here and add the fatigue right there and roll the dice. Alright, the Flesh Molder's just trying to do 1 damage. Let's go ahead and roll everything into the castle. Ends up getting a miss, and I don't think the Overlord can reroll. Alright, a Sharon gets lucky, and then the Flesh Molder is going to do its final action. It's going to move over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, just to cause annoyance to the heroes. That's the end of the Overlord's turn. At the beginning of the hero's turn, a Sharon's going to go first. She's going to spend 2 fatigue right here to use Healing Rain, roll 1 red power die, and heal all the heroes within range 3, which is all of them. Let's see what she gets. Everyone gets to heal 3. Tatiana gets to heal up 3 right there. Grisben heals the 3. Shalara heals up 3. And a Sharon heals up 3 as well. Alright, that's her first action. Her second action is to then stay there and rest. She thought about it again. She's not going to rest. She's just going to bite the bullet with the Goblin Archers. So she's going to use a movement action. 1, 2, 3, 4. She has 1 more movement, but it's interrupted by the spawning of the Goblin Archers. And then the Overlord gets to use 3 actions on them. They're going to place them right over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this one's going to go right over here. And then this first one's going to take a shot at a Sharon. It needs to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 range with 2 yellow dice and a blue die against her gray and her brown die. She has her shield back, but let's see if we get the 5 range first. The Overlord misses, so on to the next Goblin Archer. This one's going to go next. It needs 2 range, so this one only gets 1 yellow die and 1 blue die against her gray and brown. All right, let's see what it rolls. It got a lot of damage and surges right here. So it's going to be 4 damage plus a surge. So that's 6 damage. A Sharon's going to use her Iron Shield to reroll. She's hoping to get the 3. All right, she got a 2. So that's 4 damage that goes through. She's 7 out of 11, so that does unfortunately take her out. Let's remove her hero from the map, put the token, and then the Overlord gets to draw a card, which is Tripwire right there. We then fill up her fatigue and stamina right there. All right, her turn ends because she doesn't get any more movement. All right, next up is Shalara. She's going to use a search action right here. Let's see what she gets. She's hoping for a stamina potion. She does get it, so let's go ahead and think about this. She's going to use the stamina potion on herself to remove 6 fatigue, but then she's going to use 4 of it to get 4 movements. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So let's move 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 right over here. And I guess before that we would move Bright Blaze. 1, 2, 3 right there. And then for her second attack, she's going to spend a fatigue to do Exploding Rune on this Master Goblin right here. So she needs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 range, 4 because of her Scorpion Helm. She gets a yellow die and a blue die. That Goblin gets a gray die. Let's go ahead and add that all up. Let's place the fatigue for the Exploding Rune. All right, we're going to roll for the Master Goblin Archer first. Let's see everything we get. Ooh, that is a miss. That is unfortunate. That means the whole blast attack is a miss. That's the end of Shalara's turn. Next up is Grisban. He's going to do move action. He's going to move 1 right there, interrupt his movement to attack the Flesh Molder, the master one right there, with his Grinding Axe. He gets 2 red dice and a blue die against a gray die and a brown die. He also has Bright Blaze's Pierce 1. All right, so he's trying to do 7 damage. Let's go ahead and bring that over here and drop those all into the castle. Ooh, that's pretty rough. He gets a miss once again, so that he's going to continue his movement now. So he's going to go 2, 3 right there. That's the end of Grisban's turn. All right, Tatiana's going to take the last turn. She's going to do 2 movement actions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right there. That's the end of the hero's turn. At the beginning of the Overlord turn, we draw a card, which is Dash. We place a fatigue on this tile to show that it's burning, and all the heroes on the tile take 2 damage and 1 fatigue. Tatiana takes 3 damage because she's full on stamina. That goes the same for Grisban. And Shalara takes 2 damage, and then she does have a fatigue to lose. First up is the Flesh Molder. It's going to attack Shalara. It gets 2 yellow dice and a blue die, and then she gets a gray die and a brown die. Let's see what rolls. All right, Shalara got 1 defense, and then the Flesh Molder got 4 damage right here. So 4 minus the 1 is 3 damage goes through, but the Overlord's going to use Dark Might to get another surge, or I guess the only surge, and with that surge, it's going to add 3 damage, so that's then going to be 7 against the 1, so she takes 6. Let's go ahead and place the 6 damage right there, so she has 3 life left. The Flesh Molder is then going to take a movement action, 1, 2, 3, 4 right there. That's the end of the Flesh Molder. Next up are the Goblin Archers. The Master one's going to attack Tatiana right there. Her hero ability is -1 range, so it needs 1, 2, 3 range. But let's go ahead and roll the 2 yellow dice and a blue die against her gray die and a heavy cloak. So let's see if we even get the range. We need 3 range. We do get the range. So let's go ahead and add these all up. It's 4 damage and 2 surges against 2 defense. She will use her heavy cloak to get rid of 1 surge. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. She's going to save that actually because the extra surge is just more range. So we're going to add 2 damage there. So 6 on the 2. Tatiana is going to take 4 damage. That is exactly enough to take her out. So we're going to go ahead and remove her hero from the map. Place her hero token there. The Overlord is going to place a hero token to show that they got the threat token from Tatiana. We then fill up her health and stamina right there. And move on to the next Goblin Archer. This Goblin Archer is going to go next. It's going to attack Shalara right here. It needs to get 5 range. It gets a yellow die and a blue die against her gray and brown die. She has 3 health left, so let's see what they end up rolling. She got the Goblin Archer got the range, so that's going to be 3 damage against 3 defense, so nothing goes through. So on to the next Goblin Archer. This one's also going to attack Shalara, so same thing, 5 range, yellow and blue against a gray and a brown. All right, let's try and do 3 damage total. Let's see if we got the range. 3. We do get the range with the surge, so let's go ahead. It's the regular one, not the master. So 3 damage and a surge against no defense. We are going to surge for 2 more range, so that's the 5 range. So 3 damage goes through, which is enough to take out Shalara. We're going to remove her figure from the map, place her hero token right there, and then go ahead and place the threat token and the reminder that they got one from Shalara. And we fill up her health and fatigue right there. Then move on to the next Goblin Archer. Next up is this Goblin Archer right here. It's going to attack Grisban. It needs 1, 2, 3, 4 range, a yellow die, and a blue die against 2 gray. Let's see if we get the 4 range first. We did get enough range, but it's going to be 3 damage against the 6 defense, so that attack misses. Last up is this Goblin Archer right here. It's going to attack Grisban with the same thing. All right, no range needed for this one, and the attack ends up being a miss. The Goblin Archer is then going to do a move action. It's going to go 1, 2, I guess over here. Yeah, 3. 1, 2, 3 right there. That's the end of the Overlord's turn. Grisben's going to go first. He's going to revive Shalara right here with 2 red dice. See how much she gets to heal up. Has to go into the castle. So she heals up 3 health. So let's go ahead and do that. We exchange the 5 for a 2 and then put her back on the map. All right, let's go ahead and remove that and put her right there. And then Grisben's second action is to revive a Sharon right here. So let's go ahead and roll the 2 red dice. See how much she heals up. She heals up 4 health. So we're going to exchange this 5 for 1 and then put her back on the map. She gets to pick an adjacent spot because it's occupied. So we're going to go ahead and take that spot right there and remove the token. That's the end of Grisben's turn. All right, as Sharon's going to go next, she's going to do a search action right here. She's hoping for another stamina potion. Ooh, she got lucky and she got it. She has to think about what to do next. Sharon's going to use the stamina potion on Shalara right there, so she gets to remove all of her fatigue. So let's go ahead and grab all of those right there. And then for her second action, she's going to rest. All right, so that's the end of her turn. So we remove all the fatigue tokens right there. Next up is Shalara. She's going to spend 2 fatigue to move 1, 2 spaces up over here. Let's go ahead and place the 2 fatigue. Before she was going to do this, she's going to move Bright Blaze 4 spaces. So 1, 2, 3, 4 right up over there. So Pierce 1 on all of them. Let's go ahead and move the 1, 2 right there. She's going to spend 1 fatigue to do Exploding Rune on this right here. So it's going to hit all 4 of those. She needs 1, 2, 3, 2 range because of her Scorpion Helm. And then she gets to roll a yellow die and a blue die. And we're going to roll for this goblin first, which gets a gray die. Let's place the fatigue for Exploding Rune. She's trying to do as much damage as possible with this blast attack. She ends up getting 2 damage and a surge. Remember, we were hitting that first goblin, got 0 defense. We are going to spend Mana Weave to get another surge right there. We do have Pierce 1, so that's going to be 2 surges. The first surge is going to be 2 damage, so that's 4 damage. Second surge to suffer fatigue to do 2 more, so that's going to be 6 damage and Pierce 1. Let's go ahead and place the fatigue for using Runic Knowledge. All right, this goblin got taken out, so we're going to roll this defensive die, a gray one. 6 damage, Pierce 1. It gets 2 shields, so minus 1 shield, so it takes 5 damage, only has 4 health, so that one also gets taken out. Let's go ahead and remove this goblin right here. Let's roll for this one next with the gray die. 6 damage, Pierce 1. Minus no defense, so that one also gets taken out. Let's go ahead and remove that from the map. And then this master one has 6 health and also a gray die. All right, 6 damage, Pierce 1. Minus the 1, that is enough to take that one out as well. Okay, let's remove that last goblin archer and then think about Shalara's next action. All right, Shalara is going to use Revive on Tatiana. She gets to roll 2 red dice to see how much she recovers. We end up getting 3 health, so let's go ahead and do that. This 5 goes down to a 2 right there. Let's go ahead and place her back on the map. All right, exchange it for the hero token. That's the end of Shalara's turn. All right, Tatiana is going to do a movement action. 1 to interrupt the movement to then attack the goblin archer with the elm great bow. She gets a yellow die and a blue die against a gray die. She's trying to do 4 damage. She ends up missing and she can't do anything about that, so onto her movement. All right, so she moved 1, 2, 3, and then when she moves on to here, the Overlord gets to spawn some Barghests and gets to take 3 actions with them. It's going to place 1 right here to block the search token, 2 right here to block the exit, because that's the goal, and then another one right here also to block some movement into the area. Actually, it's going to go right over here to block the search token. All right. And then the first action, this one's going to, I guess these ones, well, this one will do a howl. So 1, 2, 3. So within 3 spaces, it gets to, this hero has to test willpower. If she fails, she suffers a fatigue. Her willpower is 2, so she needs a 2 or less. She fails, she suffers a fatigue, but she doesn't, she's full on stamina, so she ends up taking a damage. So let's go ahead and place that right there. All right, and then this Barghest is going to do a melee attack on Tatiana. It gets a red, blue, and yellow die. She gets a gray die and the heavy cloak. All right, it's just trying to do 2 damage right there. So I think it is going to do plenty of damage. Let's just add it all up. So it's going to be 5 damage and a surge. She will use the heavy cloak, because why not, to get rid of 1 surge. So it's 5 damage against the 1. She takes 4. She only has 2, so she gets knocked out. The Overlord gets to draw a card from that right there. They get Dark Charm, which is pretty good. We remove her from the map and then place a token right there. We then fill up her health and stamina. That's the end of the ambush. All right, that's the end of the hero's turn. At the beginning of the Overlord turn, we draw a card right there. We got Word of Despair. We place a fatigue token right here to show that the tile is burning, and any heroes on a burning tile take 2 damage and 1 fatigue, so that's all of them. Grisman's going to take 3 damage, so let's exchange that up there. He was full in fatigue, so he doesn't lose fatigue. Shalara takes 2 damage and fatigue, so we're going to go ahead and remove those 3 right there. All right, she has 1 health left. And then Sharon takes 2 damage and 1 fatigue right there. On to the Overlord's minion's turn. The Overlord's also going to use Word of Misery. So at the start of, for this whole turn, anytime a hero suffers damage, they also suffer fatigue, as well as Dark Charm. The Overlord's going to use Dark Charm on Grisman. He has to test for willpower. He's trying to get 3 or less. He fails. He's going to use his Lucky Charm to try to get 3 or less again to do another attribute test. He succeeds. The Overlord still gets to draw a card if they succeed. So let's go ahead and see the new card that they get. A Frenzy card right there. This Goblin Archer is going to go first. It's going to attack Shalara. It needs 1, 2, 3 range. It gets a yellow die and a blue die against her gray die and brown die. All right, the Archer is just trying to do 1 damage. Let's see what it ends up rolling. It is enough. So it's going to be, it does get the range. You got 6 range. So it's going to end up doing 1 damage and then also 1 fatigue. All right, we remove Shalara's figure from the map, put her hero token right here, and the Overlord gets to draw a card. They end up getting Unholy Ritual right there. And then we fill up Shalara with her max health and stamina. All right, on to the Flesh Molder's turn. I guess before using the Flesh Molder, Goblin Archer is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 just to get out of the way. And then the Flesh Molder is going to attack a Sharon right here. It gets a yellow die, 2 yellow die, and a blue die against her gray die, brown die, and a shield. She's going to use Stone Skin to get another gray die. Let's go ahead and place the fatigue right there and exhaust the Stone Skin and roll the dice. If she takes 2 damage, she gets knocked out. So let's go ahead and see what rolls. Ooh, ends up being a miss, and there's nothing the Overlord can do about that. So that's the end of the Flesh Molder's attack. The Overlord's going to use Frenzy to attack again. Same thing, but a Sharon doesn't get Stone Skin this time. All right, 2 yellow dice and a blue die against a gray and a brown and the shield. They have to go into the castle. The Sharon's going to use the shield to reroll the gray die, so let's give it a jiggle. All right, nothing still. So yeah, this is going to be enough to take her out. So it's 3 damage plus a surge for 3 more damage. So 6 damage takes out a Sharon. We remove her figure from the map right there, and then the Overlord draws a card. They get Poison Dart. We then fill up her fatigue and then her health points right there. And then the Flesh Molder can move. All right, the Flesh Molder is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 right over there. And then next up are the Bar Guests. This one's going to move. I think they get 3 movements. No, they actually get 4 movements. So it's going to pick this spot. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I guess it can't really expand, right? I guess right here, 3, and then expand right here. Let me think about this. Let's go ahead and use a dash to just get more movement. So we're going to pick this spot. It's going to interrupt its movement. So 1, it's going to attack Grisband. It gets a yellow, red, and blue die against his 2 gray. All right, let's see what we get for everyone. It's going to be a lot of damage and a lot of defense. So we have 3, 4, 5, 6 damage against 4 defense. And one of the surges is going to be used for 2 more damage. So that's going to be 8 minus 4. Grisman's going to take 4 damage and 1 fatigue for Word of Misery. He ends up taking 5 damage because he is full on fatigue. We're then going to continue the movement. It was 1. It was, I believe, this spot. 2, 3, 4, and just expand right here. And then this Barghast is going to go 1, pick this spot. 1, 2, 3, 4, and expand. We are going to then use another dash right here to pick this little spot right here. 1, 2, expand, and then interrupt its movement to attack. This one gets a red die and a blue die against its 2 gray. All right, it's just trying to do 2 damage. So let's see what we get. We end up getting a miss, so it gets to continue its movement now. We chose that spot, 2, 3, 4, and then expand right over here. Let's think about the rest of the turn. This Barghast is going to move 1, 2, 3. It has to block this right here, and then this one's going to block that right there. So that's the end of the Overlord's turn. Grisman's going to go first. He's going to revive a Sharon there, so he gets to roll 2 red dice. Let's see how much she heals up. She heals up 6 health. Let's go ahead and recover that right there and place her back on the map. Let's place her right over here. And then Grisman's second action is to revive Shalara, 2 red dice again. See how much she heals up. She heals up 4 health. Let's go ahead and exchange this 5 down to a 1. All right, let's go ahead and replace her on the map right there. Shalara is going to go next, but she's going to move Bright Blaze first. 1, 2, 3 right there. And then she's going to move 3, 1, 2. After she moves, the Overlord's going to use Tripwire, so she has to test awareness. If she fails, her movement ends. All right, she has to get a 1 or less. She fails, so that's the end of her movement. All right, she's going to use Sunburst to attack this Barghest right here. She needs to get 2 range. Well, I guess 1 range because she has the Scorpion helmet. She gets a yellow die and a blue die against a black die. She has Pierce 1, so let's see what happens. All right, she ends up missing the attack. That's the end of Shalara's turn. Sharon's going to go next. She's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right here, and then attack this Barghest with the Iron Spear. She gets a yellow die and a blue die with Pierce 1 from Bright Blaze against the black die. See how much she gets. She ends up missing, so that's the end of Sharon's turn as well. All right, last up, Tatiana over here is going to do a stand-up action. She rolls 2 red dice and recovers health and fatigue. Let's see how much she recovers. She ends up getting 4 health. Let's go ahead and exchange that 5 for a 1 and put her back on the map. All right, she's going to choose an adjacent spot. She's going to go right here. And that's the end of the hero's turn. At the beginning of the turn, the Overlord draws a card. They get Dark Charm right there. They get to place a burning tile on the exit, so that is the end of this encounter part 1. For the cleanup of part 1, all the heroes did not escape, so we'll set them aside, and then the Overlord will get 4 bonuses at the beginning of part 2, and they also get these monsters spawning at the beginning. So the 4 Barghests, the Master Flesh Molder, and then the Goblin Archer as well. All right, that's the end of encounter 1.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Good night.